It's time for the podcast, which is all about the world of marketing on television through TV shopping networks and infomercials. Are we on the air? I'm your host, Sean Wilsey, and for over 29 years, I've hosted shows on cable shopping networks, generating hundreds of millions of dollars in sales. And now I want to be your guide into this world, explaining how it works, why it works, what doesn't work, and introduce you to the people who are making it the success that it is today. And one of those people is my guest for a third show now, the co-founder and CEO of Isomers Skincare, Manuela Marcheggiani. At the end of our last show, we had just finished chatting about how COVID had changed the industry and gave Manuela time to do a lot of work and her team with their social media. Everybody's speculating now, where is this industry going? People are cutting the cords, people are getting rid of their cable, their satellite. So is the industry going to be able to pivot? Where do you see the TV shopping industry 5 years, 10 years from now?
Well, I do see that it's not. I do see it's getting smaller. I do fear that it is smaller. I do fear, who really watches TV anymore? I mean, that's the reality. We're not really watching TV, and the audience that watches, my customer that I know very well, that she's older, right? She's 50, she's 60, she's 70. She's not as nimble. But I think that online becoming much more, smartphone, becoming much more hands-on, is still going to grow. I still think that there is definitely, I don't think it's going to die completely, but it is going to have to adapt. Definitely. The Darwinian thing, it's not survival of the fittest, it's the survival of the most adaptable. Yeah. And it will have to adapt, and it will be much more audience driven as opposed to planning, right. I think.
There will always be a demand for skincare. People are always going to need skincare.
More and more.
Oh, absolutely.
The longer we live, the more we live, and the more visual. Look, before you could talk on a phone and nobody knew if you were naked or not. Nobody. Now you're on the phone or Zooming, and everybody knows everything. Everything has to be by visual. Yeah. So it's becoming more and more what we look like is becoming more and more important, and that's kind of sad in a way. But it's also very good for my industry.
Well, no, it's very good. And that actually takes me to my next question, because during COVID, a lot of people who were at home realized that they had time on their hands, and many started little small businesses. And for women in particular who said, hey, you know what, I have an idea for skincare. I have a formulation. This has worked for me. What would be your advice to someone who maybe is thinking about getting into the skincare industry? Because it's booming. I mean, it's going to go nowhere. So if you were to talk to, say you're talking to 20-something Manuela, again, what would be your advice to someone starting up a company?
What's your why? What's your story? You want to start a company? This is a good industry to be in, but there's have a passion. Make sure it is your passion. I mean, I know it sounds so cheesy and cliche, but it is something you're going to have to want to do for free. If you would do this for free, then you're doing the right business, and just start enjoying it, and start. The sooner you start, the better, because you are going to make a ton of mistakes. And that's great, because it's through your mistakes that you learn. If everything actually panned out and was perfect, then, you'd get to a point where, everything, you just fall off the edge, because it just wouldn't sustain itself. So your mistakes, I think, make you stronger. And I would just say, know exactly what your story is. What is it that you're trying to make? And also understand your business, where you're getting the product. We're very fortunate because we are the lab. Honestly, Sean, if I didn't have my own laboratory and I was relying on a third party to make my formulas for me, I don't think I would be in this industry, because I don't trust. I don't trust the formulators. You don't really know what's in there. Yeah. I really know what's in my formula, but you don't really know what level and what grade that they're using. And so how can you put your name and your face behind something when you're not 100% sure? And a lot of the stuff, I guess that's also about if you care. Yeah. Some people don't care. Some people just want to make money, right? Yeah. I never wanted to make money. It's like the money comes. I think everything else that's happened was so much more rich than the actual money. The money is just extra. And we've always used it to put it back in and to create more experiences. I get more out of women who are 73 saying, I didn't even know what matrixyl was. And now I know to look for it. I know it's a molecule. I know it's an oligopeptide. And I'm just like, good for you. Like, that's so good. You have that in your head now. Like you've learned something. You've become, I don't know. We always trying to bring out the best in people. Yeah. I just think that's really great.
Who do you look up to?
Well, right now with my chair position, I'm looking up to you.
Thank you. Should have known that answer was coming. I should have known.
Now, honestly, who do I look up to? I look up to, I almost look up to everybody in the sense that I've always seen myself as a student or in a learning phase. And so I find everybody that I encounter, I learn from them or I look up to them into what makes them interesting for me. So I know that sounds kind of strange, but I do. Like, I think everybody has some value that I can learn from. Like, everybody's got something that I could learn from. Everybody's got an experience or a point of view that I can learn a different perspective. And I value that very much. So I look up to that. And the other thing the other people I look up to are, I look up to my dad a lot because he had grade 5 education, but he was the smartest man on the planet. And he was so progressive. I mean, he's been gone since 2002, but I still look up to him every single day because he was the one who basically said, stick to the right, in that sense of stick to the truth, do things because you have good intention and because you want to help people, and it will guide you through. And who else do I look up to? Let's see. Yeah, everybody else I think is pretty much
secondary to me. It's not important.
That's right, Sean.
When you look at the success that you're having, I'm always interested in people in this industry who, when they have success like you're having, how much of your success is, because it drives me crazy when people just, they live and die by the spreadsheets and the numbers and here's what's worked and spreadsheet. How much of that is true, that's part of success, but how much of it is just listening to your gut?
So if you were to, I don't even know what a spreadsheet looks like.
Okay, good. It's a good answer.
I don't do it by spreadsheet. I do it by gut. I have done, that's probably one of the biggest rewards that I think it was part of this industry and also part of this part of this experience that we've had with the direct to consumer is because, and this is so great, is you can have a gut feeling about something, right? And you could run to the back, whip it up, come to the front and say, let me explain this, right?
Yep.
And
absolutely.
And your gut is like, it's so amazing because you can actually, and even just how this, I go by gut more often than not. And I find that in the beginning, when they told me my name was wrong, you needed a celebrity, this is the wrong packaging. Oh, our packaging was terrible. The name of our company was bad. Oh yeah. And now it's like, everybody's doing pharmaceutical packaging. Everybody. But we were told in the beginning, we were so wrong. We were so not doing, and we were not even legitimate. Remember, like, who does TV shopping? Like, come on. But my gut was, what did Marshall McLuhan say? The medium is the message. I believe that the message was so important. And I believe the ability to speak to somebody one-on-one, that integrity was also important, and and giving people more information. I'm so like the hand is quicker than the eye kind of people, those parlor tricks. I'm so turned off by all of that, but that's always done so well. We're always like amazed by it. And you sometimes need to slap yourself in the face, like not to look and to go in a different direction. So I've always think that gut is bad. I don't know. I love using my gut because I think it's more rewarding. Right. I mean, we have to use a spreadsheet once in a while. Like October's coming. So our accountant will be like, hey, it's time. And so I'm looking at it, I go, oh, we did that. Oh, that was us. Because we're just, and on it, truly, we don't do a daily check. We don't know. Like, even with our shows, like Sean, you'll know this, we do a show and you have goals and you have there's expectations around a show and you're rewarded with better hours or less hours depending on your past performance, blah, blah, blah. But I would come off there and I would never ask how'd I do. I would just
that's
go.
True. Yeah, you never did. I never thought about that.
But other people, they would know how did I do. They would write it down. They would scratch it down. They get a tattoo. They'd embolize it. They'd notarize it. They were all about how I do in the numbers. And I was just like, are we going to go eat? Are we going to like?
That is true. Yes, that is usually what would happen. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. You know?
Listen, Manuela Marcheggiani, Isomers Laboratories, where can they find you? Where can they find your product? Where can we find you on social media? Let's just get it all out there.
Okay, so we're on all of those. Yes. So we're Isomers Skincare on Instagram or Manuela Marcheggiani or both, because we're also on TikTok. I forgot to tell you.
What the hell is TikTok? How are you able? You and I are the same age. We're not TikTok people, Manuela. How are you doing
I am such a TikToker. I'm going to tell you. This is how quick. This is, this is what's so exciting is that last Friday, I got to tell you this story, Sean, because it's so cool.
Please.
So last Friday we were doing, do you remember when we were on air, I used to do the age progression. So I would show me at 24 years old and then 40 years old, right?
Yes.
So now I'm 58 now, right? So they would show me at 24 and then it would basically say what I would look like if I was a missing person and the FBI would like find me or whatever, what I would look like after, and then what I actually looked like. So we basically had that was part of the visual on TV shopping, right? It was showing like, okay, you can live a life without Isomers and look like this, or you can live a life of Isomers and, oh my goodness, you can look like this, right? This was the before and after.
Right.
So we did a TikTok on it and we got almost 400,000 views.
Holy
so we thought,
cow.
Right away, like within a weekend, like from Friday to Monday morning, right? And it's pretty good for one of our first ones. So if you look for Isomers Skincare on TikTok, but last week I did things I wish I knew in my 30s, and I've got over 1 million views.
Stop
in 1 week.
Oh my gosh!
From
TikTok.
All from TikTok, and this is This is what I'm saying. This is what COVID has brought. This is what the TV show. You know what happened? Because of COVID and that we couldn't travel so much. And then I hired a couple of university students. Remember, these university students who are geniuses in social media, they're like, what, 12, 13 years old?
Yeah,
like, I mean,
of
seriously.
Course,
like,
yes.
And they're like geniuses, right? So I'm telling them, so they'll come to me and they'll go, what's an eye serum? What's an acid? What's a cleanser? Is it true this? And I was like, what do you mean you don't know? An eye serum is this, a cleanser is that. And then I realized, wait a minute, they've never seen a show. They have no idea.
True.
So I had to re-educate myself to educate them. This process of going through and breaking down from day one, they wanted to know the story. They wanted to know why are you on TV shopping and why do you have this kind of packaging and why do you make your own water in the back? Like when we do for our formulations, we create our own water. Why do you do just-in-time manufacturing? How have you been able to stay on one network for 25 years? How is it that you're the top net vendor and you don't have waste in the back? It's because of how we do it. But explaining it to them in bite-sized pieces, they record me and then they just use it as content. And I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing.
I found your TikTok and yes, 1.1 million views, things I wish I knew in my 30s.
Yes.
Now, by comparison, let's go to my TikTok. Let's see. What do we have? Sean J. Will. I've never plugged my TikTok on this show. If you want to go to TikTok, I have a video about how to brew coffee that has hit 1,100 views. So not quite in the same league, but I can't get a handle on it. There's just too much to to do with it. So, I mean, there's special effects and filters and all this. So I'm lost. Absolutely lost.
I'm totally lost too. That's why. But it's like, I think it's just, I think the service of what I think that all of this can provide a service. Like I was told, which blew my mind, but it makes me so excited, right? Because you asked about what's the future of TV shopping and stuff, right? I've gotten rid of my cable. I did sign up for YouTube, so I do have Prime, so I could watch not Amazon Prime, but I just have YouTube Prime. So I don't have commercials because I like to select and learn and stuff like this. But I do think even on TikTok, you can get like an education. You can get so much good information that you can use. And I think it's people like you and me that with our experiences, like what you're doing now is you're like bringing something so historical, but something so relevant to the forefront and explaining why it was built this way, the benefits that it had. Like that's so much good information because people think, but people are like, people that are younger than us, they think they know it all. Yeah. Meanwhile, look, it's nothing. Everything old is new again.
Amen.
Right? So it's like,
amen. I just said on a show recently, bell bottoms. I just read are coming back into style. This will be my third go around with bell bottoms, but there's a generation seeing them now for the first time.
Oh, I know. But you know what's really great is now I have a vintage pair because I bought them when they first came around and I still have them. And I tried them on and they still fit me. Yay.
And again, we were wrapping this up 10 minutes ago, but we keep going down and having new conversations here. What is a day for you like? I mean, you're not just in the lab all the time. I follow you on Instagram. I know you just celebrated Thanksgiving with your family. For those that don't know, Canada has their Thanksgiving in October.
On Columbus Day.
Yeah, on Columbus Day, yeah. So, so what is a day like for you?
A day like for me is my day starts pretty early around 5:30, 6 a.m. And my day starts with I take my dog out or take the dogs out for a walk, for a run, whatever. And then I actually prepare a couple of meals in the morning because my mom's 94, 95, and she has early onset dementia. Mm. So I make sure she has fresh breakfast and probiotics and nuts and everything. And then I make a vegetable like from the garden, a soup. So she's got all her nutrients. Then I drop that off and make sure she takes her meds. And then I come to the lab and then I go straight to the social team and I find out what are we working on? What are our themes? Because we have to write content and copy. And I make sure that all the facts, the stuff is correct. And then again, that the person who's receiving the message not only understands that they don't misunderstand, because that's also how we're communicating. And always, because you have new blood in the building, I don't want them to change the voice or the integrity. So it's very important to stay on that. And then we go into the back and we're working on 6 new formulas. And I had to, make sure that those are all really, really good. And then at the end of that, I go home, make dinner for the family. And then tonight, it's a Leaf game.
Oh, so Canadian. Doesn't get any more Canadian than that. Stanley Cup. No, the season just started, didn't it? See, this is
it just started. I'm
in Texas now.
Game 2.
We only know football in Texas. We don't know anything else. Do the kids have any interest in the company?
The kids do have interest in the company. They do. And especially now that we've moved off of, especially now that we've moved more into the socials, they have much more interest. So it's very interesting because we have one son who's really into product development and very, very much like me in the sense of ideas and communication, right? And can tell great stories because he can take complex thoughts and try to break them down. Because I always like it, could take something very, very structural and then just make it into like, oh, we can talk about cotton candy and explain popcorn. And it's like, you just explain this molecule, but you did it. So he can do that. And then I have another son who's such an engineering mind that he actually is, wants to go into intellectual property, protecting people's ideas, because he's seen too that there's a lot of, because of our industry, there's a lot of stuff that goes on that he thinks, people need to be protected and preserved. So they do have interest in it, but in different capacities. So one is much more regulatory and one is much more creative. But so to answer the question, yes, they do.
Both important to have. So, okay, let's try this again. On social media, we can find Manuela Marcheggiani and find Isomers. all over the place, but let's go through the
Yes.
list again.
So on YouTube, we are on YouTube. We have our own channel, so Isomers Laboratories, and we post twice a week. And then Instagram every day, Isomers Skincare, Manuela Marcheggiani, and then also on TikTok. So please like, subscribe, share. And we're also online. We do a lot of online work for Isomers Laboratories if you're interested in our products. But we also do mentoring, and we also do product development.
Spell Marcheggiani for everyone.
Really simple. March, like the month.
Yes.
Egg, like breakfast food. And then IANI. So MARCH.
Yeah.
EGGIANI.
Once I learned that, it's like, oh, obviously, it's so simple. So, and obviously you can find her on Shop HQ as well on a fairly regular basis, presenting the products.
Yes.
So make sure that you check them out as well. I can't thank you enough. This has been such a treat. We haven't. My last day at was Shop NBC at the time was almost 10 years ago now, and that's the last time I saw you in person. We went out for lunch after one of my last shows there, and that's the last time I've seen you in person. So.
Yep.
But
I have a really good friend of mine. Her name is Jen, and she just moved to Texas. I call her my Uber accident. I met her in an Uber by accident, like seriously.
Oh my God.
And we've become very good friends. And she just moved to Texas, so she's begging me to come and visit her. So
please do.
Guess who's coming over, Sean?
Please do. And as you know, I got married about a year and a half ago now, and so I have to get my new husband up to meet you in Toronto because I've told him all about
Absolutely.
you. So, yes, so we have to
Absolutely.
do that.
I can't wait. We're gonna have fun.
Okay, Manuela Marcheggiani. Wasn't she fantastic? Wow, great stories, a lot of fun. Laughed hard. I hope you did as well. Listen, I hope that you're going to check me out on Twitter. Shawn Wilsie, my name, ShawnWilsie, and on Instagram, SWilsie. Don't forget about Facebook, by the way. I don't do a ton on Facebook, but it's important to have, isn't it? Necessary evil. ShawnWilsie is how you can find me on Facebook. Thank you for downloading this edition of our We on the Air. Thank you for your reviews and your ratings. I so appreciate all those 5-star ratings. This has been a King Bobby production.
Yes, I know, Travis. That's why we give such bargains.